it's essentially to show that I think when you're looking for a market intelligence provider, what you don't want to see is a one size fits all approach. So a bit of analysis that just covers all bases and focuses on it isn't really focused on a particular user type, a particular persona. And what I've tried to do with this slide is just articulate all the different types of users within a technology vendor that might benefit from market intelligence. And if you look at the two arrows on either side of the slide, you can see that I think you could define these individual departments as perhaps revenue generating or client facing at the top, and then very much internal, inward looking, operational from the other side. But at the absolute very top, you've got executive leadership, the board, who are having to continually evolve their product offering, react to market changes, release new technologies that are cutting edge, in some cases bleeding edge, to get that first mover advantage in a market. And they need that insight into the trends, how the market is going to evolve. They need that insight into the appetite to purchase new technology. So they need to make essentially the right big bets around which technologies to invest in. And market intelligence can really help them do that, both in the form of written analysis, but also workshops, picking the brains of analysts. I think also within that client-facing realm, you've got those working on business development and strategy, which is similar, but a lot of those folks are feeding into the board. And then you've got the sales and marketing divisions who obviously need to position those products in the right way, get the right messages to market. And then the customer experience functions obviously need to ensure that the technologies are being consumed and used within the enterprises themselves, and they're getting benefit from those technologies. If you move a little bit further back, technologies need to be incubated and developed. Now, some of this work may actually be happening in laboratories within academic institutions, but equally, the big tech vendors will be incubating their own technologies. I have a little case study on that shortly, and I think this sort of information can be really beneficial. So they need to make sure that they're investing in the right areas, but also they're fully aware of the market developments and how quickly a technology may develop, so they can actually try to do their product development in time and get good time to market. I think you've also got IT departments, technology departments that will benefit within vendors themselves around technology deployments. Plus, they also want to just streamline their operations. And then I think, finally, a lot of the back office functions, legal compliance departments, they need to know about regulatory changes. I think, you've got different regulations that are very different, like HIPAA, for example, in the US for healthcare, has a particular set of requirements around technology delivery. Finance departments need to understand pricing trends because tech firms may need to change their pricing quite quickly, be quite nimble in the way that they do that. They need to understand discounts, channel to market, accreditations of vendors, things like that. And then procurement departments, obviously buying in all sorts of supplies for the function of the firm, and then related to the product development I mentioned, there's an R&D function as well. So I think you've got 11 different departments. This is how I've defined it, but all in all, you could break out and have different niches of users within tech vendors. And as I said, just to summarize, I think each of these departments has slightly different need, and I think as a market intelligence provider needs to cater for those departments and give them messages and recommendations that are of value. So I've covered a little bit there just as an intro. I'm going to have 3 pauses, one now, one in another 10 minutes or so, and then one at the end. So if anybody has any questions at this stage, I'm happy to take them.
Hello, Tim.
Okay.
Hi.
Yeah, I have a question. Which of the types of market analysis tends to give the clearest early warning signals in fast-moving tech markets?
So I think the early trend identification is important there. But I think a good thing to look for from a provider is someone that I think this has been a criticism of market analysis firms that they tend to be on a quite a slow schedule. So it could be once a year we cover a topic. But I think providers that are able to update their intelligence and information very quickly can definitely help there. But I think some of the points that I mentioned about when I talked about marketing reach, I think peer review and customer insights are really good there because they can get the latest information on what's happening in the market. And a lot of this stuff, whilst it's a bit perhaps a bit unrealistic to be providing information in real time, I think a market intelligence provider should be able to provide information, quite quickly. And by that, I mean literally within 2, 3 weeks, a month, as to what is actually changing within a market. I hope that answers your question, Dan.
Could I just ask, going back to I think the previous slide, you you talked about pipeline analysis. Could you just say a little bit more about that? And this is the pipeline of products that competitors are bringing to market. Is that right?
Yes, so it can be that, but I think it can come in different forms. So it could be very much perhaps the best way to define it would be supply side pipeline analysis. So what products are being brought to market by competitors? How are they bringing their products to market as well? But pipeline analysis can also be very much from the demand side. So it could be that insight into what end users, enterprises essentially are spending on technologies and what technologies they have deployed as well. So I think that can then be used by sales and marketing folk to actually target different client types, client groups, different geographies, sectors, company sizes as well.
Great.
Okay, I will move on to the next slide.
Before we move ahead, there's one more question in the
Oh,
chat.
I'm sorry. Sorry.
So it goes like, shouldn't HR department also be identified? Training needs, recruitment needs.
Yes, that's a really good point. I mean, I think you could put that within operations, but absolutely, yeah. I mean, technology just generally is changing the way recruitment is happening. There's a lot of artificial intelligence screening of a lot of firms are using specific HR software, aren't they? But I think HR would be a subset of operations, and as I think I mentioned, I tried to come up with some different departments, and there are 11 here, but you could actually segment lots of these down further. So that's a very good observation.